Thank you for joining the Author Spotlight Show. My name is Gail Watson, founder and CEO of Women's Speakers Association and WSA Publishing, a place that is dedicated to sharing and promoting the messages of women in over 120 countries. We shine the spotlight today on a very inspiring woman who is transforming the lives of those around her through loving dedication and compassion. Today, I have the proud honor of introducing to you international best-selling author and co-author of Voices of the 21st Century, Conscious Caring Women Who Make a Difference. Please welcome Nicolle D Surratte. Welcome, Nicolle.
Thank you so much for having me, Gail.
Very excited to chat with you today. Love the story that you share in this book because it's one that many women can really relate to, because you really you focus in on self-care, but also empower us to take off that superwoman cape we tend to wear. So would love to dive right in, and please share with us what inspired you to share this story.
I wanted to share my story because almost 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm getting ready to celebrate my 11th cancerversary. And based on how I had been taking care of myself since high school, the diagnosis was very much a surprise. And not only the diagnosis, but the fact that it was an advanced stage diagnosis was even more of a surprise. So I knew from the very beginning that there was purpose in my diagnosis. And for me, it was all about living by any means necessary. And I learned early on, Gail, that cancer was not happening to me, it was actually happening for me. And what I've learned over the last decade is that there are things that we can do to be more proactive about our health instead of being reactive. Because I was doing everything that I thought textbook wise you should do to prevent getting any type of diagnosis. So I was doing those things and still got a diagnosis. So I just kind of wanted to give women like a little peek into my journey, because sometimes we just go about our lives and we think, oh, it won't happen to me. You know, I can continue to make X, Y, and Z choice that I know is not the healthiest choice. And, you know, I realized that stress was playing a huge role in my life. And I believed it played a big role in my diagnosis. And during the time of my diagnosis, the years that led up to it, you know, I was dealing with a divorce. I was dealing with a diagnosis. I was a caregiver for my mother who was suffering from Alzheimer's. And Gail, I thought that I was managing my stress. But when I took a minute to sit down and really think about it, I realized, Gail, that I was really busy. And so I don't want women to go down that same road. And there's some differences that you can make. And that's why I titled the chapter, When Superwoman Needs to Hang Up Her Cape. You know, we can be so busy taking care of everything else and everyone else except ourselves, and especially our health. And when stress, and I'm talking about that chronic stress that is day in, day out, that's leaving women feeling overworked, overwhelmed, underappreciated, it can lead to a chronic health condition. And those are conditions such as high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, depression, anxiety, obesity, and types of cancer. And I don't want that to be the path that a woman ends up taking when, just by making lifestyle changes, chronic health conditions can be avoided, eliminated, or at least reduced. So that was what inspired me to share my chapter in the Voices 5 book.
Wow, that's for you to receive those gifts from cancer, to be able to almost reframe them, repackage them, and deliver to us as listeners to this the gifts from that journey. As you envision somebody out there, I mean, your book went global, it's around the world, hit several number one bestseller in multiple countries.
Mhm.
Imagine that person in another country sitting there reading, or anybody. What do you want her to take away from your story?
I want readers to walk away understanding that you have choices to make. Sometimes we put our care, our lives in the hands of the medical professionals. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate the medical professionals who have crossed my path, and we need them. But there are things that you can do to take better care of yourself. And so we need to do those things. We need to understand that the decisions that we make or fail to make are moving us either closer to wellness or closer to illness. And I'm hoping that women will choose to take that path towards wellness. So I get it, Gail. And I believe that COVID really brought it to the forefront, for me at least. We are modern day superwomen dealing with a modern day kryptonite called stress. And stress is actually a global epidemic. It is showing up unannounced and uninvited in our personal and professional lives. And I believe that we combat stress through self care. And as women, we can't view self care as being selfish. We have to realize that it is essential to every aspect of our health and wellness. And when I talk about health and wellness, Gail, it's not just the physical. We can't just stop there. Our health, our wellness includes the physical, the mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relational, occupational. It's all of that. And I believe it's a mistake that we make when we look at those areas in isolation without realizing how interconnected they are. And if one is out of sync, there's a strong possibility that there could be a domino effect and knock the rest of them down as well. And so we've got to take better care of ourselves and realize that when we do that, the people with whom we live, work, and play, they all benefit. Because if you're stressed out, trust me, the people that you work with, the people that you live with, they know about it. And when you can just take some time to yourself and come back refreshed and recharged, it makes such a difference. And, it's nice to go out, once a month or every other month and have a spa day, but our self care can't be regulated to just that one day a month or one day every other month. We need to take time for ourselves every day, even if it's just 5 minutes. That's a start. And I say to women, you have to put yourself on your to do list because if you don't, who will? But I don't want you to think about it as a to do list as, oh my goodness, another chore. Nicolle, I've got so many things on my list. I don't have room for me. You can't think about it as a chore because then it'll feel like work, it'll feel laborious. You need to do self care activities that bring you joy. So maybe it's just blowing bubbles. Maybe it's getting your nails done. Maybe it's taking a bike ride, just laughing. Maybe it's just some quiet time where you put a note on your door that says, do not disturb mom for the next 10 minutes, unless your hair is on fire or something like that. But to have your time to yourself and so that you can get refreshed and rejuvenated. And I'm sure, Gail, you've heard it said, you can't pour out of an empty pitcher. And a lot of us women, us super women, we are flying around on fumes. And we have to take better care of ourselves so that we can take better care of our families and our other responsibilities.
Nicolle, like, I know every woman listening to you right now is raising their hand and saying, thank you for speaking to me and thank you for sharing uh, this journey because you're speaking directly to me. I know I'm not doing that self-care every day. I know you're speaking to me. Um, just as your words make me reflect and go, she's right. She's right. So, Nicolle, you've been on a really in-depth journey, and clearly has you are just like what that sign says behind you, inspire. I know you inspire others, but you inspire yourself. And you're giving that inspiration to others. Like, how is this showing up in your life today? I mean, are you helping women take off that cape, or what are you doing?
Absolutely. I'll talk to some women and I'll have to tell them, if I come to your house, I'm going to look in the closet and I'm expecting to see the cape hung up there because I can listen to a woman and hear myself, my former self. And I'm like, okay, this is a woman who needs to take a break. If there were 28 hours in the day, she still needs 30. And so I tell them, it's okay. Sometimes we need to ask for help. And it's all right. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. To me, Gail, that's actually a sign of strength, is that when you realize I need some help, I can't do it myself. And if I continue to do it myself, I'm going to wind up somewhere and land in a place where I really don't want to be. And you know what? Our health is truly our wealth. I'll talk to women, Gail, and I'll say, can you run $1 million business from a hospital bed? Yeah, maybe you can. But the question now becomes, do you want to? And I would hope that every woman would say, no, I don't want to. So we've got to do those things that take care of ourselves. And I realize that as women, we have an opportunity to transfer our stress management skills, our self care techniques to our children and our grandchildren, because stress, being a global epidemic, it is impacting all ages. And we've got to lead by example because our young people, they are watching what we're doing. And we can't talk about self care, we can't talk about stress and not demonstrate it. So, yes, I am working with women all the time. I am always making myself available to, I refer to them as my bosom buddies. These are women who are living with breast cancer and women who are living with all types of cancer. I make myself available. Sometimes I'm taking them back and forth to chemo treatments and doctor's appointments. I am emailing them, talking to them on the phone, and putting them on what I call my bosom buddies prayer list. And the other thing that I'm doing that I'm really excited about, Gail, is I have started a new division of my company called A Health Coach for Me. COVID gave my time, and I went back to school in 2021. I attended the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and got certified as an integrative nutrition health coach. And I'm only working with women. And so I help women make transformational and lasting changes regarding those health and wellness matters that mean the most to them. And I help them do so, Gail, one step at a time. I do believe that women know that there are changes that they need to make. And sometimes we can just feel so overwhelmed by the amount of change that we need to make, we don't know where to start. So we hit that default button and we do nothing. And so I want women to realize, even though your goal might be step 500, when you work with me as a health coach, we're not going to focus on step 500. We're going to just take that very first step together. And after that first step is accomplished, then we're going to focus on step 2. And then we're going to rinse and repeat until we get to step 500. And I really do function as a coach. If you think of basketball or football, I am on the sidelines with my clients. We are drawing up the plays and the strategies, and then they go out on the court, they go out on the field, and they execute. But they execute knowing, Gail, that they've got me as their health coach. I'm providing accountability, encouragement. I'm going to be their biggest cheerleader and to help them make the changes that they need to make and that they want to make. Because, Gail, I want women to live the lives that they desire and the lives that they deserve. And we need to be in the best health possible.
Uh, you would be the very best coach to help. We can hear your passion. You're speaking right to us, that's for sure. Nicolle, we have to get a copy of your book. Um, but I'm not only just thinking of a copy of a book for ourselves. Just as you're speaking and sharing, I'm going, oh my goodness, this would be such a tremendous gift to the other women in my life, whether I work with them or they're my friends or their family, because for just as you touched on these last 2 years during the pandemic, we have seen an excessive amount of stress,
Mhm.
and some people have dealt with it better than others, but it's this lingering inside stress, and I've often thought about it, how toxic it could be. So
Mm.
I mean, connection to you would be paramount. And also a gift of a book like that to a friend or family, another woman, just to say, listen, I see you, you're not alone, and it's
Right.
time for you to take off your cape. Wouldn't that be a great thing? So Nicolle, where can we get a copy of your book?
I'm going to send people to my website, and I've made it so simple, Gail. My website address is www.ahealthcoachforme.com. You can read more about me. You can send me an email if you're interested in getting the book. It'll be on the website very, very soon. And if you're interested in chatting more with me about your health and wellness goals, I offer a 30-minute complimentary self-care clarity call. And what I do as an integrative nutrition health coach, the name is a little misleading. It really doesn't speak to what I do as a coach. I'm not a nutritionist, number one, but it's more than just the food that we eat. We actually it's a holistic approach to health and wellness, and which is why studying at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition was the perfect fit for me, because that's always been my platform. And we actually look at it in two lenses. So we have what we call primary foods and secondary foods. And believe it or not, Gail, what you put on your plate is actually a secondary food. Primary foods are areas like career, physical activity, spirituality, joy, home cooking, home environment, creativity, because the thought is, if there is balance in those areas, which we call the circle of life, if those areas are in balance, they will dictate what you put on your plate or choose not to put on your plate, which is why what you put on your plate is secondary. So, for example, Gail, I can be working with a client who's having some stress issues at the job. So, we may talk about, do you need to have a conversation with your boss? Do you need to have a conversation with your coworker? Might you need to craft your exit strategy? Because this isn't a good fit for you. I could have another client who's stress eating. And when what they really need, Gail, is just a hug. They don't need the ice cream. They don't need the candy bar. They just need a hug. And so then we start to talk about relationships. What are the relationships that you need to strengthen? What are the relationships that are toxic and you need to step away from? So we're not just going to deal with what you're eating. We're going to look at you as a whole person, the whole totality of you, so that you can be the best version of yourself possible. So again, I just invite people to think about it, to think about maybe a health coach might be just what you need to kind of give you that push, that encouragement, that accountability that you might need to reach your health and wellness goals.
Nicolle, you are a true gift to this world. You really are. You have come at the perfect time to help other women um, love themselves again, give
Mhm.
themselves time. And you're just overflowing with great ideas. And I really feel your love. And I just want to really share my appreciation and gratitude for you, for really opening up and sharing right from your heart. You can feel it. Um, Nicolle, please leave with us. You've shared so much wisdom already, but how about some final words of wisdom?
I'm actually going to leave my final words based on something that you just said, Gail. And you said we need to give ourselves time. And I want women to think about the word time. The word me is embedded in the word time for a reason. You need to have that me time. You deserve it, you need it, and it will make such a difference when you are able to take better care of yourself. And in my chapter, I give you some strategies, easy strategies that you can put into practice right away on how you can take better care of yourself. And so I'm just hoping that I've shared some information that inspires other women to make a change.
You're beautiful. Thank you. So, and I really want to thank you again for joining and sharing with us today. To our listeners, go check out Nicolle, a health coach for me.com. That's really easy. A health coach for me.com. Go get a copy of her book for yourself. Go get a copy of her book for your friends, for all the women in your life, and share it with them. And I love that time. Me is in time. Ah, okay. That's the best tip of the day, I think. So thanks again. And to our listeners, thank you for sharing your time with us. And we look forward to connecting with you again on the next Author Spotlight show.